Cool. We are now officially recording. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to go into our topic today. So how do I make this full screen? There we go. All right. So today's topic, right? The 3 secrets. So essentially how to be able to lose body fat and build muscle mass with small amounts of free time, which I know I'll be going to a season of that here soon, with Lucas on the way, and not having to resort to any kind of restrictive diet or cutting out any kind of type of food groups, not having to do any type of quote unquote diet like keto or anything that has a name, in order to get your results, change your body composition, or maintain results. And actually, the ability to do it, no matter what. So even if you're not able to get to a physical gym, different ways to be able to do that and be able to stay consistent and get the results that you need. And I'm going to go ahead to the next slide here. But the 3 secrets, or I kind of boiled it down to like, how can we do this? And the 3 secrets are very counterintuitive to what like the mainstream fitness diet culture would tell you. Mainstream fitness diet culture would tell you that, or I don't know, so many people get this impression that needed to work out like every single day, and you need to work out at least like for hours a day, and you need to do both strength training and cardio and a ton of them, in order to transform your body, or to maintain your results. And it's just not true. And I'll go into actually what the minimum effective dose, what that means, and what it looks like, and how we've been able to implement that in different people. Also, there's the diet rules, right, where everyone's heard like, oh, don't eat bread, or keto will tell you not to eat fruit, right? People will tell you not to eat after a certain time, and then the time keeps moving. Sometimes it's 7, sometimes it's 8, sometimes it's 6, sometimes it's 9. What's the real time? It doesn't really matter. So we're gonna ditch these diet rules.
I was wondering about that. Like, if there's like a time you should, like, people say do eat X amount of hours before you go to bed. I was wondering if there's any truth to that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll break that down today. I'm going to try and debunk a lot of myths in that, especially around that. And then we're going to prioritizing wellness in general. So a lot of people too will get in the mindset of, and again, this is like a myth that we want to debunk, that in order to get the results that we want, we have to do something that is unhealthy, like go down to ultra low calories, and looking at certain diet programs which tell people to eat. I've seen diet programs that tell people to eat 500 calories a day, 800 calories a day, 1200 calories a day, all shakes, no whole foods, except for fruit, like except for vegetables, no fruit, like stuff like that. And I could name drop and you guys would be like, oh yeah, I've heard of those programs. And so they're definitely out there, but we want to prioritize actually wellness, right? So ideally, if you're doing a specific way of eating to lose body fat or lose weight, we should also be able to sustain exercise during that time, because we want to maintain muscle mass. And if we're not doing that, if we're not prioritizing muscle mass, all we're doing is setting ourselves up for rebounding and more fat gain on the end of that. And that's why there's this whole yo-yo diet phenomena or culture or whatever. There's a lot of people that go through different diet protocols that inevitably a year later will end up gaining the weight back. And so I'm going to be sharing exactly like how to get out of that, how to leave the matrix, essentially. A lot of the biggest mistakes that just busy people, parents, especially working parents, make is trying to work out more, thinking that they have to work out more than they actually need to, right? You don't need to work out daily. I don't know who came up with that you need to work out every single day of the week or 6 days a week minimum, or we can work out less than that and get amazing results. You don't need to work out for an hour. I've gotten awesome results in different clients working out for 15 minutes, 3-4 times a week, right? So, and then you don't need to actually go to a gym. I've gotten great results with clients just doing bands at home. And you don't need to do crazy cardio. If you enjoy golfing, you can golf for your cardio, believe it or not. If you enjoy running, like Maddie, I know you do, then great, that's awesome. But you don't need to do anything that you like. It doesn't have to be like grueling. Like, so I'm going to talk about Bubba here real quick. And so Bubba, for example, the only cardio he did was golf. He went to the driving range once or twice a week. He golfed a whole course once a week. And he did not do that in the beginning because he couldn't. His back was hurting when he first came into the program working with me. He was starting to get a little bit of a belly. He didn't have a whole lot of extra weight, but where it was, he was not happy with. He just kind of felt like the quote unquote skinny fat, and he felt really, really old. Even though he's in his 50s, right? So I think the 50s is, he found out very quickly that he's actually not old. um, but he just felt that way because he couldn't golf anymore. He couldn't pick things up off the floor without pain, aches and pains, and just he stopped actually exercising, going to the gym for like it was 5 years before working with me because of the pain. He wanted, or abs wasn't even really part of the goal. He ended up getting abs though, just through what we were trying to do. He wanted to put on mass, as you'll see in like the third photo to the very, very right, where we got him a little bit bigger. He got way better at golf. I had some of his friends like ping me on social saying like Bubba's cheating. He's driving way further than he has ever, like we've ever seen him do. His golf game's a lot better because he's working with you. It's not fair. And then way more muscular, and again, he felt younger. So how did he do that? And it was really simple. It was 3 workouts a week. They were 30 minutes long. They used bands. It was just bands. He didn't touch a single weight, and it was total body every single time. And after that, it was just living an active lifestyle. He golfed, like I mentioned, and he ate mostly whole foods. He didn't drink very much alcohol, but he also never dieted per se. We kept him at like what we would consider a maintenance level of calories. And then to get from shredded to a little bit bigger, we just bumped up his calories a little bit more. But he was eating close to 2,600 calories to 3,000 calories to make this transformation. So it just flies in the face of a lot of the advice out there in the nutrition spheres of Instagram that will tell you like, oh, you need to cut out certain foods or eat less. He didn't cut out any foods. We looked at easy swaps that were going to allow him to eat more protein and to have just more fruits and vegetables in his life. And then after that, we still allowed him to, he did have champagne on New Year's. He did drink a little bit in his program, but other than that, for the most part, he just prioritized being healthier. And I think I probably should have switched to the slide before going over all that, but essentially this is exactly what he did, right? No gym, no weights. He didn't do cardio outside golfing, and he never felt restricted, right? When he wanted champagne on New Year's, he had it. He had cake on his birthday. We went through the holiday season. So he went hunting and went to go visit family for Thanksgiving, and had he wasn't super like crazy about his meals there, but he made sure to have protein, which Thanksgiving, there's tons of protein available. Lots of other stuff available too. But if you prioritize protein, like I think I talked about in the live I did on Wednesday in the Facebook group, if you prioritize protein and you learn how to eat intuitively for fat loss, you can go and enjoy a Thanksgiving meal and not worry about your progress. My dad worked with him, and he lost 30 pounds. He was well over, like, I think it was almost 225 when we were working together, and we got him down to 195, and then we actually got him lower than that, and we're like, Dad, you're a little thin. He's like, yeah, I think I need to put on weight. So he went down to 185, I think the lowest. We got him back up to 195 again. So this on the right is a year after we started working together. And of course he's my dad, so when I go visit him, I'm like, we're meal prepping together, we're working out together, we're golfing together. Very similar to Bubba in the sense that the only cardio my dad did was golf. And he's a general manager for a furniture store, and he works a lot of hours, and he's not necessarily in a sales role, so he has a lot of desk time. But I talk to him all the time, and he's really made a point of always carrying a water bottle with him, roaming the floor more because he can, and motivating his sales staff more as a way to just be more active. pumps out push-ups on his lunch break, or just goes into his office, pumps out push-ups whenever he feels like it. And he has bands at home, and that is it. Like, he didn't use weights mainly really at all for the main part of our transformation. I got him now dabbling in weights a little bit at like his community gym and his, like, where the HOA is where he lives, but they don't have anything super heavy, just some dumbbells. But yeah, he's really enjoys his day offs now. He has tons of energy. And I talked to him when I first started working together. He didn't think he could do this because he just felt like he had nothing left to give after work. He was just kind of running from, alarm clock in the morning to finishing the day, eating, TV, bed, right? And he just felt like there was no time available. His mindset completely switched about 3 months in, when he just started feeling so much more energized. And it was just like, you build momentum, you want to keep moving. And again, so this is, his back photos here, and yeah, no gym. He did start he's adding in weights now, but not all the time, not very, like, mostly bands at home and stuff like that, and body weight. Yeah, with my dad, because he felt like he didn't have time in the beginning of us working together, he did 15-minute workouts. That was it, 3-4 times a week. And then we've bumped him up now. So he's definitely doing like closer to half-hour sessions. Every once in a while, he'll say like he did an hour, just because he likes it. He enjoys it. He feels more in shape. He likes to go swimming now for fun. It's his whole lifestyle has changed. Kristen. So this was her 9-month transformation. And I'm actually, in the next slide, it should have her, she's her current transformation. She's been working with me for a few years now. In the beginning, she was a little insecure about the fact that she worked out. Like, she worked out a lot. She was doing tons of boot camp classes at her local gym. And she would do like all the classes, like yoga, everything. She was doing it all. She did cardio on the side too, on machines. She worked out a lot, but she just didn't feel like she looked like she worked out a lot. She also ate very healthy. She didn't eat enough. She didn't know what was necessarily going wrong here. She had more body fat than she felt like she kind of should. It was one of those things where it was just a little bothersome for her. And we actually, she transformed to be more confident, had a lot more muscle now, especially now. And she's actually now getting certified as a personal trainer and getting certified as a nutrition coach as a result of us working together. And I'm super proud of her. And so this is her, transformation so far. So she went from, on the left, working out way more than probably should have been, and not eating enough to fuel that, to then the leanest she's ever been, and very strong, also the strongest she's ever been, now to the very right over here after a few years of just being very consistent. She's maintained a solid physique that she's proud of, and she is strong, really strong. She has not been in a gym since COVID started, so she works out at home. We've had her invest in some kettlebells, dumbbells, and bands. Her bands go up to 160 pounds, and she's using all 160 for lots of different exercises. And again, she likes cupcakes. She drinks champagne somewhat regularly with friends. But she's at a point now where she's eating well over 2,000 calories, and 1 or 2 drinks, especially champagne, which is like 90 calories a pop, is not going to do much to her physique at all. So she's really in a good spot when it comes to maintenance. So it just goes to show, you don't have to do long workouts. You don't have to do anything super crazy. It can just be, it's 2 parts really. If you get from this first secret, it's your workouts, prioritizing strength that just, again, short, sweet, to the point, and then an active lifestyle. No matter how much you work out in a gym, it's still in 1 hour or 15 minutes or 30 minutes. It's not going to make up for the rest of your day, another 23 hours of your day. Ditching diet rules. So I love cheesecake and I love steak, right? Those are 2 things that I really love. Donuts as well. I have all of those. And again, just like kind of Kristen, how she loves cupcakes and champagne, you're able to have that stuff and not, and maintain a healthy physique still, and a healthy body. And there's no magic diet out there, keto, paleo. If they work for you, fine, that's awesome. If you really enjoy them and they're easy for you to, navigate social situations, and it doesn't impede your happiness in your life, great. But if, you feel like following something like that is super restrictive and hard, makes like family dinner awkward when you're the only one who can't have pasta or whatever it might be, you don't need to do that, right? Carbs are not bad. Carbs are actually great when it comes to performance and muscle building. Eating fat is great for your hormone health, right? And intermittent fasting, it, no matter how you slice it, it's not much different than a regular calorie deficit or just eating your regular maintenance calories. So if it works for you, great. But if not, it could just add extra stress that you don't really need. And yeah, meat's not bad for you. Meat's actually super, super healthy. I would just make sure you actually are eating meat and not eating what I call mystery meat. So quality of meat somewhat matters. Mimi, so her story here, this, and she's even more fit now. These pictures are pretty old actually. And I know Mimi's personal trainer, and she's gotten so much stronger, and she's deadlifting a lot now and everything like that. And I'm super proud to see her, how she just kind of continues to develop on her own. But when we were working together in the first 3 months, she dropped 20 pounds. And it was really just this, she tried to over restrict during the week, and then on the weekends she would eat too much. And her metabolism was adapted to low calories because that's what she was doing most of the time. And then she would drink and eat in the weekends, and it was more than her maintenance, and she would gain weight. She worked out a ton. She did lots of group fitness classes, and she wasn't just really kind of similar to Kristen, wasn't seeing the results she wanted to see until she stopped, under eating during the week, started really fueling herself for those workouts that she was doing. We didn't change her workouts. We just looked at her nutrition. And she found out that she actually had more discipline and control in the weekends. She was able to still have a cookie or a glass of wine. And it's something that we laughed about, because she had a cookie, glass of wine on the weekend, and then lost 2 pounds her next weigh-in that same week. And for her, that was this big aha moment of she doesn't have to necessarily shy away or feel like a failure for eating a cookie. It doesn't matter. And there's a lot of these diet rules where I think they're created by someone in the beginning for some type of healthy outcome. A lot of times they do more harm than good. That's why she probably ditched diet rules, and Mimi ditched diet rules, and she got really into strength training, as you can see. Very strong back photos, and she's even stronger now. Pam, who's here, right? Pam, same as Mimi, you were also doing group fitness, right? And Pam, I mean, if you want to just take your slide and talk about it yourself, you definitely can.
Well, I was going to say, I started with Jordan because I felt bloated all the time. So once I started journaling what was causing that feeling, then it worked itself out. And so, I can't drink a whole lot when I eat. I have to wait until after I eat. Otherwise, I feel like crap. So I have to, even today, I have to manage my liquid intake over time and not really with food. So yeah, I lost that gut right there, and I was doing burn. Elizabeth, this is when I was doing burn strong, man. And I was not losing it until I started working with Jordan for a couple months. It was probably what, 3-4 months?
It was 3 months. Yeah. It was short and sweet. And you're like, boom, we got your protein way up, right? Your protein was really low. I think we got you up to eating 160 grams and your calories close to 1900, which before I think you were eating 12 to 14, and you were kind of just frustrated, right? That was why is this weight not coming off? I'm not overeating. And I think other people you went to for help were like, obviously just you're eating too much. And you're like, no, I'm not. And then we started working together, and we're like, okay, this is what's going on, right? And we were able to kind of piece everything together.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then when it comes to the last secret, the last tip, prioritizing wellness, right? Health overall. So again, you don't need to do anything extreme to lose weight. And a lot of times, I don't know, it comes from this idea of that, like, I just want to get it over with, so I can lose the weight, and then afterwards I'll get healthy. Afterwards I'll have a healthier relationship with food. But right now I'm just not going to eat any carbs, or I'm going to go carnivore. I'm going to do whatever it might be. And usually that doesn't work out. Usually going through that makes it really hard to have a healthy relationship outside of that, right? And even one of my mentors, Jason Phillips, he's the creator of the NCI, which is the Nutrition Coaching Institute, he did an extreme diet, and he actually had a history of eating disorders. And he did an extreme diet, and even today, now that he's super fit and has a good health relationship with food, he has this he has a lack of control, self-control around pizza. And he'll laugh. He's like, pizza to him is always by the pie, not the slice, because of a diet that he did in the past, that was the market left on him. And that's years and years and years removed, and he still brings that up. So it's one of those things where when you do a diet in the short term, think about how that will affect you, 3, 6, 9, 12 months from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now, because it will affect you physically as well as mentally, and your relationship with food especially, or exercise. Sacrificing sleep. I see this a lot. People are like, all right, I'm really busy, right? And I need to work out, so I'm just going to sleep less. And if you get 9 hours a night, fine. You can sleep a little bit less, still get 8 hours or 7 hours and be healthy. But a lot of times I see this go into the extreme, where I've worked with people who are sleeping 2 hours, 4 hours a night, 5 hours a night, and working out, and then frustrated that they're not getting results. And it's because, well, sleep is way more important than the fact that you're working out. And not to say that one night of missed sleep is going to ruin you, or 1 week of hard sleep is going to ruin you. That's definitely not the case. However, if you make a pattern of this, and this is going to be your method of trying to be healthy, it's just not going to work, right? And there's no like faster detox. That culture always makes me kind of laugh on the inside. So your body detoxes itself naturally, right? If you eat whole foods and you're moving your body, you're drinking plenty of water, you're sleeping well, your body will detox itself, right? That's what it's meant to do. That's why you have kidneys. That's why you have a liver. You don't need to take a special diet or cleanse, or you don't need to totally cut out food for that to happen. We just need to start prioritizing healthy habits, sleep, food, movement. And so prioritizing wellness will take you all the way. But a lot of times that seems to be the first thing that people like to sacrifice when they're busy, to try and quote unquote get ahead when it comes to their fitness and health. Bailey, so we worked together just this last year, and she had a lot of digestive issues. She actually had eating disorders before working with me, that she worked out with a therapist before. And then she hired me because she was in a lot of pain, similar to like Bubba. She had joint pain and things like that, and it was limiting what she could do. Actually had her go see a physical therapist before working with me to make sure that she was okay. That way I can start building on a solid base. Had her start off slow. She didn't do a ton, and we reversed dieted. So what that means is she started eating more and more and more. And before working with me, it wasn't that she couldn't or didn't want to eat more, or that she was scared to eat more. It was that she physically couldn't, because she had so much IBS issues and digestive issues that it just made, she would have inflammation and her joints would hurt, and she just couldn't function really when she ate certain foods, or and so she started just not eating very much. And so she was essentially eating the wrong foods. And it came to a point where and she had a history of not eating a lot because of the different, just again, with the eating disorders in the past, that her gut microbiome was kind of just needed to be rebuilt. So that's what we did. We rebuilt it together, and it literally took 5 weeks. She was an amazing student. And after that, we just focused on strength training, and she got super, super strong, as you can see in the pictures here. And at the end of it, she just started to really enjoy eating even the foods that before would have been super inflammatory for her. She could enjoy them in a small amount and know that she was going to have a little bit of an effect, but it's one of those things where it wasn't going to ruin her day. And she told me too, at the end of us working together, and we filmed the podcast together, where she was just like, there's certain foods that when it comes to with her, there's not even worth it because of the way it's going to affect her energy, her focus, right? And again, joint pain, things like that. And so this is more of just an extreme case, but Bailey could not have made this transformation if she didn't focus on her gut health first and her joint health. And, essentially you can see her posture is way better at the end of us working together because we focused on health first and we built on a good, healthy, strong base. At the end of us working together, she's strong and confident. She posts on Instagram more than I've ever seen her before working with me. And she's always at the beach and stuff. And it's awesome, which is really cool. My own story. So believe it or not, I was one of those people that sacrificed my health to get ahead and work out more and push really hard in college and be a collegiate athlete. I got injured a few times, maybe as a result of that. And I was undersleeping, under tons of stress, just extremely busy. I had to learn to say no to opportunities and have discipline in that sense. And as a result, I was able to focus more on recovery, less on just do, put on 30 pounds of muscle. Most of this being throughout like the last year of college into like the year after college. And being more productive rather than busy. But again, it's like all those things I mentioned before that we can kind of traps you can fall into. I definitely fell into a lot of them. And then I, obviously sometimes taking the less is more approach really, really helps. Richard, he works for Apple and his work-life balance was kind of just crazy. And we worked together for 12 weeks, right? 3 months. He got promoted 3 times with us working together. So he did not put his career on hold for sure. But we focused on him sleeping more. We focused on him consistently strength training a few times per week. He made healthier choices, prioritized protein. And one of the biggest things that he really wanted was he played soccer in high school, very competitive, and he wasn't able to do that. And rec leagues, like he tried signing up for a rec league and he just couldn't. He was gassed out like within a few minutes. So then he hired me. And afterwards, he was crushing it. He felt like he wasn't held back anymore on the soccer field. He's able to do what he enjoys, go hiking and be more fit and enjoy his day off. And because he works a lot. And again, he did this working at a company that in an industry that doesn't really prioritize health, is what I've found when it comes to the tech industry. And again, 12 weeks of just him prioritizing health first and foremost, and then allowing him to then open up a whole new world of just being active and enjoying life. Vicenci, he characterized himself as skinny fat. He was a little insecure he didn't like taking his shirt off in public. After us working together, that was his biggest thing. He's like, he could take his shirt off in public and he felt confident and proud of what he had built. This was just 8 weeks. This wasn't super long. And there's actually a 20-pound swing from left to right. He gained 20 pounds, but doesn't really look like he gained any weight. If anything, he just looks more confident and stronger. And it's because most of it was he's definitely gained a lot of muscle and body fat moved around, body recomposition changed. He had worked out in the past before he's had a year consistently with the personal trainer, but his nutrition was never in line and he kind of was just doing the wrong things. And he never got results in his mind. So he kind of gave up on fitness. Then he worked with me. And in 8 weeks, he got better results than he did in the whole year that he was trying really, really hard because he was trying too hard in that year. When he was doing it before, he was working out almost every single day. He wasn't, he was focusing on focusing a lot of time towards it, and eating what he thought was healthy, but he was avoiding things like eggs. He was avoiding lots of protein sources, because there's a lot of rumors out there on the internet that protein is bad for you. We got him to incorporate a lot more protein, to actually eat more, obviously, and to strength train just a few times a week with bands at home. So completely different. At the end of us working together, he joined a volleyball league, and he's just started playing volleyball, and he enjoys maintaining his body with volleyball, which is really, really awesome. So, and a lot of times too, I think we fall into this trap of like thinking, what we did to get the results is what we have to do forever. That's definitely true if you use extreme dieting and cardio, and it just doesn't work. But if you do things the right way and you build a lot of balance in there, or the ability to have maintenance at the end, you can maintain your health doing things that you enjoy, so long as you are being healthy, which is what this sensei really found out. So, again, no daily workouts, no exclusion diets, no detoxing, no diet pills, no fasting, no restrictive diets, and no excessive cardio. And again, I said no cardio down here, but like golfing, technically, swinging the club, hitting like 100 balls in a day, that's cardio. Strength training has a cardiovascular endurance aspect to it as well. Walking is cardio, but no like necessarily running unless you really like it, like I mentioned before. I'm going to stop sharing for just a sec here because I feel like I've been talking a lot. What's standing out to you guys? What questions do you have? Because I want to make sure that this is as valuable as possible for everyone that's on this call. That, anything that you guys specifically need help with, that you get these questions answered, or anything that you think maybe has been holding you back, that we can debunk that or help you move forward after this call as a result of us being together today.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah, go ahead, Maddie.
One, so right now I'm really only running 2, maybe 3 miles per run during the week. And during the weekend, I'm going to bump up from 3 to 4 because I think I'm going to start training for a half marathon.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like too little to have any results?
No, actually. So one of my clients, Jessica, so when I first started working with her, she had shin splints and everything like that. And because she was trying to train for a half marathon on her own, then she couldn't run anymore, and she had knee pain, shin splints, and she hired me 3 months before her half marathon. So the first month we focused on rehabbing her knee and her shins. The second month, she ran once a week, and we focused mostly on strength training. The third month, we ramped her up to running 3 days a week. One day was a recovery run where I put a strict limit on how much she was supposed to run on that day. It was 3 miles. And the second day was a speed run where, again, it was actually a short run. It was 1 mile that she was doing for speed, so trying to get as fast as possible. And then she had one long run, which was a 45-minute run, and her goal was to run as far as possible in that time. She did that. Strength trained 1 day a week, stretched on the other days. So 4 training days, only 1 strength day, only 3 cardio days with specific purposes. And that allowed her to crush her first half marathon. She had a ton of fun doing it. And now I'm in the process of, we're finishing a strength cycle with her this month. In September, we're going to switch gears again, and we're going to ramp her up. She's got 3 months until her half marathon again in November. So where she's going to do that same half marathon again, and she's going to get a better time and feel better doing it. And again, we're going to use the same kind of pattern. We're going to ramp her up slowly to it. But she doesn't have any shin splints or knee pain this time around. So it's going to be a lot better even.
Yeah, that's what happened to me when I did my last half marathon. I mean, I've never been one to run 5 days a week. It's just I don't have the motivation, which in a lot of ways helps me. And I also run with my parents who have, their own time limits. So when I trained for my half last time, I ran, 3 days a week, and I never did more than 5 miles during the week. I couldn't, there was no need. But then I would do long runs on the weekend. Like my longest, I would do like your standard go from like 5, 6, 7, 8 up to like 12. But I had like some sort of piriformis and knee pain later on. So I want to make sure I do it more mindfully this time. I also am fairly sure that my diet was definitely not where it should be for that. But like I'm gonna start hopefully ramping up distance in the next few weeks as it gets cooler. So I want to make sure I do it in a way where I don't get hurt. My other question is, you said you would address the whole like eating a certain amount before you sleep, or a certain amount of time before you sleep. Like, don't eat an hour, don't eat 2 hours, don't eat sugar. Like, is there any truth to any of that?
The only thing that would be like you have to be mindful about would be if it affects your quality of sleep, as in or your digestion, right? Some people when they eat close to bed will find that they have IBS in the morning. Some people when they eat close to bed will find that they have nightmares. Some people who eat close to bed just find that they wake up all the time. Sleep apnea kind of kicks in. But some people find that they eat close to bed, they get better sleep. So it really depends on you. But I think the recommendation that comes from is to try to get people to eat less. And so it's like an intermittent fasting recommendation in the sense that like if you
Right.
limit your access to food during the day, that you will eat less, and that will help you ideally lose weight. The thing is that's not always the case. A lot of times it can cause binge eating or unhealthy relationship with food because we're trying to pack in as much food as possible in the times that we're allowed to eat, quote unquote.
Right.
At the
And
very
yeah,
least, it can just like level out to where you're eating the same amount of food as you would have normally, but it's just in a window versus, out of a window, and that doesn't really matter. You're still going to not going to lose any weight if you're eating the same amount of food. Doesn't matter when you eat it.
right. No, like for me, I find like I know a lot of my family, if they eat red meat too close to bed, they get really hot. And I don't get that. I mean, I can't eat sugar too close to bed. Like you said, it kind of get like bad dreams. And I just don't sleep as well. So I just try not to eat too close to bed anyway. But like I'm gonna hopefully get a job soon. And I know that I'm not gonna be as I have as much time now. Like my workouts now take like an hour, and I know I'm not gonna have enough time to do maybe more than half an hour, 45 minutes in the morning. So like, is that something that would be sustainable? Just like, can that still be managed with sort of my goals in mind?
Yeah, I mean, with having a half marathon that you want to train for, you will have to dedicate some time, right? But
Hmm.
literally not more than 3 days in a week to train for a half and be pretty competitive with that. And not more than, honestly, 2 hours a week on a combined work. So it's one of those things where you can definitely fit that in. You have to be realistic at the same time though. So if you're not like, if you think you can train 15 minutes a day, 3 days a week and get ready for a half, probably not. But if you're able to dedicate, anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour maximum, 3 times a week, and you really get into those runs, you can do great with it. And
I'm
then,
talking about strength training more.
oh,
Runs I can get in. I'm not
yeah.
worried about that.
Oh,
Runs I
strength
can do
training.
like, yeah,
Yeah. You
yeah.
do it to lead
Runs I
up
would
to
never
it.
do more than like 30, 45 minutes during the week.
Yeah. Strength training, you just do leading up to it. So you set a strong base. And then once that strong base is set, you start switching more to running. And then after that, strength training becomes more of maintenance. When I say maintenance, I mean actually maintenance for your joints. So we want to look at more mobility and making sure that things like your quads are nice and strong. So your knee is stable and stabilized, or there's any, like you
Your
mentioned, your piriformis, like
glutes.
your hips, right?
Mhm.
So making sure that we're focusing on that, and then getting some upper body work too, because we don't want you to lose muscle mass.
Right. Like I've mentioned to you, I want to work on my upper body because I need to build ab strength, which we've talked about plenty of times. It's very beneficial for running.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I just wanted to sort of double because like running, I'm not worried about. I'm just worried about like having to do like being able to get in enough strength training with like a busy work schedule.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need much time at all for the strength training during your half marathon training. It's 20 minutes.
Right.
If you can do that once a week and on top of your running, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I could do that probably 1, 2, 3 times a week if I needed to.
Yeah, you won't be strength training 3 times a week ideally. If you're doing
Yeah,
marathon
yeah,
training, your focus will be marathon
yeah, yeah,
training.
yeah.
And that's where I think a lot of us, again, we fall in traps. Like we try to do it all at once. If your goal is to run a marathon, cool, you should be running that. You should be training for running, and that is your goal. And you should be eating to support that too. So I think Jessica was eating 2,600 calories when she was training for her half marathon. She's not eating that now because she's not in marathon mode right now. When she gets back in marathon mode next month, her calories will come back up though, for sure.
Yeah, mine's in November, so we're going to be in a similar place.
Yeah. Yeah, hers is also in November. So I wonder if, I know you guys live in separate states, but like that'd be funny if it was the same one.
Oh my God, that'd be so, is it the Philly half?
No, no, it's not. It's
Okay.
in Carolina, but
Okay.
cool. Anyone else have questions on anything that I've covered so far, or like Maddie mentioned, like things that you kind of had coming into this call? Pam's going no. All right, I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen then. And we're just gonna wrap up. So when it comes to, and I just mentioned this with talking to Maddie, there's should be seasons or stages to how we train. I mentioned with my client Jessica that I'm working with, she's a runner. She's not running all year round. She gets really strong now and she's really into strength training. She's not going to be strength training all year round because she likes to run. And so there's seasons, right? And so the first thing is finding clarity, understanding what it is your body needs, what you're currently doing, maybe why that's not working and where we can improve. Like we talked Pam, right? You mentioned people thought one thing, but then when we actually did the clarity, did the journaling, did the tracking, we realized, okay, drinking too much close to eating, not enough protein, not enough calories to support training, right?
Correct. Yep.
So clarity is super important. Anyone that gives you a one size fits all, like you type your height, weight into a macro calculator and it spits out an answer and there you go, it's just going to be wrong. Anyone that talks to you for 5 minutes and says, here, follow this diet, it's just not going to be right for you. Figuring out where you're at and then moving forward from there is a must. So that's step one. And it doesn't matter if you're working with a coach or by yourself, like you need to do this step. You need to figure out what you're currently doing, why that's not working, and then move forward. Metabolic priming. So this is my, for example, Bailey's story. She was eating not enough, so we had to work her calories up. Pam, with us working together, you went from 1,400 calories to at the end 1,900 calories. We worked your calories up actually and got good results.
Yes.
Why? Because we're prioritizing health, right? We're trying to get you as healthy and robust of a metabolism as possible. And that a lot of times will lead to body recomposition. Not always though, but it sets the stage for the ability to do fat loss in the future. And if you've been dieting nonstop all the time, the last thing you need is more dieting. And we actually got to look back at, again, clarity, figuring out why that hasn't been working, and then probably doing the opposite, which is priming. Health optimization. So after a fat loss phase, ideally, we should be looking to get as healthy as possible and figuring out how to just have a healthy lifestyle that helps us maintain our results. And I talked about Vicente, how he started doing volleyball, right? It was a fun way for him to keep his, fitness up. And we got him really into where he actually enjoyed eating the foods that he was eating. Awesome. And from there, that just leads right into life integration and a lot of fun tips that when I bring up, like Jessica, she really likes running. Can she do multiple half marathons in a year? Sure, but it would take a big toll on her body. And she also has other goals outside of that. So she does one half marathon a year and she crushes it, right? Or she's going to crush it this time. It'll be her second one ever. But she's going to crush it for sure. And so we're just able to create a season that integrates well into your life. For example, another example of this would be like bulking during the holiday season, like being able to be in a surplus, double down on strength training, not worry about eating more because that's part of your goal. And you do that through Christmas and New Year's and Thanksgiving. And then after that, you can cut and it's a lot easier too, right? So that's a simple way to kind of show how life integration works. But it's being able to ebb and flow with what's going on around in your life. And, our year is very seasonal. And so our training a lot of times, especially if our goal is to maintain a healthy body through all seasons, needs to kind of reflect that too in our nutrition. Right. With, again, Pam, I think we went in great detail in your story and we went, essentially clarity, right? We figured out what was going on. We started priming your metabolism. Fat loss kind of just started to happen.
Yep.
And then I think at the end of us working together, I was like, Pam, I'm pretty confident you know what to do to move forward and maintain your results. and you felt really good and healthy. So we were good there, and boom, like you moved on. So why does this work? Why do we need those steps? Why is it we can't just slap a diet on it, start running every day and throwing around some weights and get results? And sometimes people can do that because they kind of magically either don't have a diet history that stops them or impedes that, or they magically do it the right dose and eat enough to support it, right? When we start to restrict and do everything under the sun all at once, a lot of times it just creates frustration. And it's the idea of understanding that if you want to run a half marathon, you're not going to be doing Olympic lifting at the same time. So sorry to all the CrossFitters, right? Like ideally, you pick one pursuit, you crush it, and then you pick the next pursuit. And there's these seasons, a cycle of what we can do. And it really helps us to get better and better and better progressively. So if you want to focus on aesthetics and hone in on your nutrition, cool, you're going to leave a little bit of performance, on the table, and you have to be okay with that, right? Being in a deficit is not healthy long term. When you're focusing on aesthetics, you're going to move away from longevity. What's the healthiest thing for you long term in the short term? But a lot of times, like losing body fat can actually increase your longevity in the long term, right? So when we look at things, we want to look at seasons. If you focused on dieting all year round and never ended it, it would be really unhealthy. And so again, there's this triangle of awareness of understanding what it is that you want right now, what the season is, what you're willing to give up to get there, and then do that and ignore the other stuff for now, right? And when that season's over, it's over. Time to focus on the other stuff and not worry so much on that, right? So after you get your aesthetics, you're like, cool, I've got what I wanted. I lost a little bit of body fat. I have maybe more muscle showing. Great. Now go back to performance and get stronger, right? And or learn how to live a healthy, fit life and maintain your body weight and focus more on longevity, right? And you can always come back later to aesthetics to get the next level if you want to. But we just don't want to essentially overdo it, right? And when it comes to aesthetics, when it comes to dieting, it can be overdone pretty easily. So essentially that's it. Those are the 3 pillars or 3 secrets that allow you to be able to have more time because you're not spending as much time working out. You'll be able to eat what you want because you're not going to have to be sticking to any restrictive diet, and you're going to feel your best because you're actually prioritizing your health, right? You do that and you will be successful, right? And Eric and I actually just filmed a podcast yesterday where we talked about like the 6 things that if you just do over time, you're going to start seeing the results that you want. And they're not super sexy. They're just like the basic, like live an active lifestyle, eat whole foods, strength train the right amount, make sure you're recovering well. And there's no like fasting or special diet out there. It's the basics, and it's chopping it up in a way that makes sense to you and that you can do long term. So any other questions before I kind of wrap it up and we can do the giveaway? Or Elizabeth, you came off mute for a sec.
No, I didn't want you to think I'm that like I've just been quiet the whole time. There's just a lot of information I'm soaking in over here.
Yeah.
So that's all I was gonna say. It's a lot of information.
Helpful
So
information.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Like I've pretty much given away all my secrets. Like this is what you do to manipulate, what, like if you want to run a half marathon, cool, like that's your goal, go get it. If you want to lose body fat, cool, that's your goal, go get it. And there's a lot of people out there that will say like, oh, I want to lose body fat, but I'm going to run a half marathon to do that. And it's like, nope, does not work that way. Or vice versa. There's a lot of different ways that we can get lost in the information that's out there, and again get sidetracked by things that just don't really work, and make it way more complex than it needs to be. But what I want to do now is give all you all on this call an opportunity, and anyone watching the replay too, to fill out just a quick, if you want to win the $1,500 of coaching, I'm going to actually drop the link right now into the chat here in Zoom. I'm gonna grab that link. And it's like takes a minute to fill out. And I'm gonna pick someone 24 hours from now, so tomorrow at 7. If you don't hear from me tomorrow at 7, I might be in the hospital and Lucas might be getting, born, in which case I'll let you guys know. But this will happen though. But I'm going to go ahead and drop this link here, and you can kind of just fill it on out, and then I will pick someone who's to be that winner and give away that coaching. Let's see here.
Now, where did we see the link at?
I need to copy and paste it into the chat right now. Here we go, copied. And Zoom link into the chat. Or not Zoom link. Link to the form into the chat here. And then if you're watching the replay and you're like, I can't click this link because I'm on the replay, I will text you. You can text me. And I'll get that to you. While you guys are doing that, I'm gonna get water because I've been talking a lot. It's a great hack, by the way. Always have a bottle of water next to you. And then I don't clean the bottle because I don't drink out of it directly, but I have a cup and I'm just constantly refilling the bottle throughout the day, especially when it's still hot, still summer in my mind.
Yes, it is still calendar summer. Thank you. It is not fall yet, people. It is August.
However, school
No, I
starts
do
in
the
about a
same
week.
thing. I'm starting to do the same thing now. Like I've been doing more interviews and more meetings, so I've been keeping a bottle of water around.
Oh, and then Maddie, are you able to click the link? Do you have the link that I was put here in our Zoom chat?
Let me look. Remind me what the link is again.
So it's to apply for essentially the $15 that giveaway I'm doing. I just
Okay,
realized that
give me a
maybe you
second.
probably can't see that.
Let me look. Can I get in? I can get in.
Awesome.
That's a surprise. I can't do is access Zoom chats. Thanks for checking though.
Yeah, welcome.
What are we doing now?
Oh, people are filling it out. So
Oh, I was like, why is it quiet?
no, people are filling it out.
Sorry, I can't mute while I'm in the chat. So you
No,
might
all
hear my
good.
dog.
Everyone's filling it out. I'm drinking water.
Oh,
And then I'm actually going to pause.
true. No, because it
No,
verifies. Yeah.
But yeah, when it
Because it
comes
verifies.
to information,
Yeah.
right? It's not gonna like I'm not gonna give you guys anything new. The
Right.
basics are like this. The stuff exists, and it is what it is. Um, it's just the truth. So, but yeah, it's a
And
great
it's
point.
kind of
Man.
good hearing it from like put it in different like explained in different ways because sometimes it's like, wait, what are you talking about? And then you hear it explained a different way and you're like, oh, I get it now.
Awesome. Yeah, I know, and it works a lot of different ways for a lot of different people. And again, that's where clarity is so important. All the stories that I shared today, no one started from the same position, really. Everyone had something a little different, and we took a slightly different path with each person. However, the main things were true. Like we primed their metabolisms, and got ready or opened the door for fat loss. And then just really focused on just building muscle for a lot of people helps out a lot, for all your goals, right? If your goal is to run a half marathon, Maddie, being stronger is going to help that for sure. If your goal is to lose weight, get leaner, being stronger is going to help that for sure. If your goal is to, be stronger, then of course being stronger is going to help that.
I have to go. We're about to have dinner, but thanks for the information.
Oh, you're welcome, Maddie. Yeah, I mean, have a great evening. And yeah, essentially, this call is 1 hour. We're coming down to the last hour, so feel free to hop off. But thank you for being here,
Yeah, I'll
Maddie.
talk. Yeah, talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. Anything else? I guess before we hop off, what was probably the biggest takeaway from today?
Just the reinforcement of everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I just keep laughing to myself every time I hear somebody talking about intermittent fasting and all this other stuff. And it's like, y'all are crazy.
Almost becomes a
Yeah,
religion when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah.
I laugh at the same stuff, and it's, oh my gosh, what actually works is so basic, and everybody, I don't know, I feel like everybody tends to overcomplicate everything, and it's, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, especially when it comes to nutrition, if there's any questions that you have about like, what should I do? How do I get my right amount of calories, macros, whatever it might be, for XYZ goal? It's just the process I talked about today. Like Pam, like you mentioned with your friend who wants to get more fit, or your neighbor, she
Yep.
probably should track to see what she's doing currently. It
Well,
doesn't have
yeah.
to be food logging. It could be a food journal, right? Or pictures even. It
I
doesn't have to
even
have
told her
numbers.
I would do it for her if she'd send me the pictures. Too much trouble.
Yeah. I mean, some people just aren't, I guess, ready to get helped. It's just, it is what it is.
Well, and it's like, for one, just drink, at least increase your water intake. I mean, that alone, I mean, I have found that, if I don't drink enough water, I'm going to not feel good, and things aren't going to work well. But again, I also know I have to plan it accordingly. Else I just feel bloated. But she's just not freaking even taking the water to work. Do you have a water fountain? Can you have a cup there? I mean, seriously, it's crazy. Could you not take food to work? Make sure you're getting enough protein. No, she's not serious yet. I mean, it's just plain and simple.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't care about her goal more than she does. So,
Right. But at least I guess in one respect, she is starting to move now. A little bit. Now, that morning walk, I usually walk 14 minutes a mile if I'm alone. She is a 17, 18 minute a mile. So I've had to slow up drastically.
which might be a good thing too. It's gonna just be more relaxing for you.
Well, for me, I have found that it's not as hard on my lower back. if I'm walking a little bit slower.
Yeah.
And
And
I'm
that's-
getting 3 miles in when I walk with her. She walks too, but I have to wait for her, so I get another mile in while I'm waiting on her.
Stop.
Yeah. Thing too is like there's that intensity myth too a lot of times where I definitely worked with someone before who she went for a walk. It had to be like speed walking. She couldn't just walk. And I'm like, no, like I want you to walk because of the mental health and like de-stressing factor that it brings to the table from a hormonal standpoint is pretty awesome for fat loss. But if you're always basically running, it's not going to get the same benefit. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah. Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you both for being here. Thank you, Eric, for being on here too. I'm gonna go ahead and
Quiet,
the
yeah,
recording.
quiet Eric.
No
No,
problem.
Not right now.
Jordan covered
No,
all of
ma'am.
it very well. I'll get the
Eric's here
next
for
one.
just support.
Yeah, I
Cool.
talked to him today.
Yeah.
I said no. No, ma'am.
Oh, there we go.
Liz is
There you
got her
go.
kids going. That's
I know,
I'm taking
I'm like-
notes. Taking notes right
That's
now.
right. No,
Just
no
stay
means
firm.
no.
Stay